Hello, today uh, our goal is to say I can understand the properties of parallelograms and solve for missing angles and side lengths. Alright, at the end of the day we should be able to fill in for missing pieces in this parallelogram. Alright, now we're going to go through the properties of a parallelogram. The opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel. So these two are parallel, and AD and BC are parallel. Property number 2, the opposite sides of a parallelogram are going to be congruent. Property number 3, before we get to property number 3, let's figure out this. If this is 16, y has to be 16. If x is over here, that has to equal 13. Alright, the next property is opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So what that's saying is angle A is going to be congruent to angle C. Likewise, angle B is congruent to angle D. Now let's find the measure of A and B. So if D is 56, B has to be 56. If this is 124, A is 124. And hopefully this isn't getting too difficult yet. The next one is consecutive angles in a parallelogram are supplementary. So you don't have to write all 4 of these down, but one of them would at least be good. So what that's saying is, let's say if I knew one angle, let's say this one is 115, then I can subtract that from 180 and get the next one. So these two add up to 180, and so this would be 65. Subtract this from 180, and I get 115. Subtract that from 180, 65. Subtract that from 180, I should get 115. Keeps going around. And so if I have 144, if I want to find the other angles, I subtract that from 180, get 36. Subtract that from 180, and subtract that from 180, and so on and so on. Now the diagonals, this is property number 5, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So if I have AZ, I know that's going to be the same length as ZC. Likewise, DC is the same as ZB. So if this side is 4, we know that's going to be 4, and if that's 7.3, over here is 7.3. Now we're going to find some. So if this is 52, how can we find angle 1? Well, these two are going to be alternate interior angles, so they have to be congruent. So 1 has to be 52 degrees. Getting a little bit more difficult, if I want to find angle 1, if this is 25, this one down here has to be 25. Add these up, subtract from 180, because this creates a triangle. So that's 55, subtract 55 from 180, and that's 125. Finally, this is more where we want to be at for high school level standards. If this is 30, hopefully you can find that this is 30 by using alternate interior angles. If this is 125, that's going to be 125 by vertical angles. And now we'll add these up and subtract from 180. So that's 155, subtract from 180, and we get 25. Now this one, subtract from 180 is 55. Now we can add these two together. That's what, 100, subtract from 180, and I have 80 degrees. Now this is the level of difficulty that I expect you to be at now. Now finally, now angle D, we're assuming it's this entire angle, is 45 degrees. Find all the missing pieces. Well, AD is this side over here. That's going to be congruent to BC, so that's going to be 6. BZ is right here. That's going to be congruent to DZ, so that's got to be 8. AC is going to be 7 plus 7, so that should be 14, the whole length of this diagonal. And angle B, these are opposites, so that should be 45. Angle C, 180 minus 45 should get us to 135. All right, so now it's time for the worksheet. Good luck.